sacrifice. Now then, they come to women in this blessed gospel, and let us see what the gospel says about women. Then you ought all to go to church, girls, next Sunday, and hear it. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was formed first, not Eve. Don't you see? And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. That is Mr. Timothy. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. I suppose that every old maid is acephalous. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, forasmuch as he is the image and glory of God. But the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as unto the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. Do you hear that? You didn't know how much we were above you. When you go back to the Old Testament, to the great lawgiver, you find that the woman has to ask forgiveness for having borne a child. If it was a boy, 33 days she was unclean. If it was a girl, 66. Nice laws, good laws. If there is a pure thing in this world, if there is a picture of perfect purity, it is a mother with her child in her arms. Yes, I think more of a good woman and a child than I do of all the gods I have ever heard these people tell about. Just think of this: when thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her that thou wouldst have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. Wherefore ye must needs be subject not only for wrath, but for conscience sake. For this cause pay you tribute also, for they are God's ministers. I despise this wretched doctrine. Wherever the sword of rebellion is drawn in favor of the right, I am a rebel. I suppose Alexander, Czar of Russia, was put there by the order of God, was he? I am sorry that he was not removed by the nihilist that shot at him the other day. I tell you, in a country like that, where there are hundreds of girls not 16 years of age, prisoners in Siberia, simply for giving their ideas about liberty, and we telegraph to that country congratulating that wretch that he was not killed, my heart goes into the prison. My heart goes with the poor girl working as a miner in the mines, crawling on her hands and knees, getting the precious ore out of the mines. And my sympathies go with her, and my sympathies cluster around the point of the dagger. Does the Bible describe a God of mercy? Let me read you a verse or two. I will make mine arrows drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. Thy foot may be dipped in the blood of thine enemies, and the tongue of thy dogs in the same. And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But the Lord thy God shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction, until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them. I can see what he had her nails pared for. Does the Bible teach polygamy? The Reverend Dr. Newman, consul general to all the world, had a discussion with Elder Aber of Kimball, or some such wretch in Utah, whether the Bible sustains polygamy. And the Mormons have printed that discussion as a campaign document. Read the order of Moses in the 31st chapter of Numbers. A great many chapters I dare not read to you. They are too filthy. I leave all that to the clergy. Read the 31st chapter of Exodus, the 31st chapter of Deuteronomy, the life of Abraham, and the life of David, and the life of Solomon, and then tell me that the Bible does not uphold polygamy and concubinage. Let them answer. Then I said that the Bible upheld tyranny. Let me read you a little. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. George III was king by the grace of God, and when our fathers rose in rebellion, according to this doctrine, they rose against the power of God. And if they did, they were successful. And so it goes on, telling of all the cities that were destroyed, and of the great-hearted men that they dashed their brains out, and all the little babes, and all the sweet women that they killed and plundered, all in the name of a most merciful God. Well, think of it! The Old Testament is filled with anathemas, and with curses, and with words of revenge and jealousy, and hatred, and meanness, and brutality. Have I read enough to show you that what I said is so? I think I have. I wish I had time to read to you further of what the dear old fathers of the church said about women. Wait a minute, and I will read you a little. We have got them running. St. Augustine, in his 22nd book, says, "A woman ought to serve her husband as unto God, affirming that women ought to be braced and bridled betimes, if she aspire to any dominion, alleging that dangerous and perilous it is to suffer her to proceed, although it be in temporal and corporeal things. How can woman be in the image of God, seeing she is subject to man, and hath no authority to teach, neither to be a witness, neither to judge, much less to rule or bear the rod of empire?" Oh, he is a good one. These are the very words of Augustine. Let me read some more. "Woman shall be subject unto man as unto Christ." That is St. Augustine, and this sentence of Augustine ought to be noted of all women, for in it he plainly affirms that women are all the more subject to man. And now St. Ambrose, he is a good boy. Adam was deceived by Eve, called Heva, not Heva by Adam, and therefore just it is that woman receive and acknowledge him for governor, whom she called sin, lest that again she slip and fall with womanly facility. Don't you see that woman has sinned once, and man never? If you give woman an opportunity, she will sin again, whereas if you give it to man, who never, never betrayed his trust in the world, nothing bad can happen. Let women be subject to their own husbands as unto the Lord. For man is the head of woman, and Christ is the head of the congregation. They are all real good men, all of them. It is not permitted to woman to speak. Let her be in silence. As the law said, "Unto thy husband shalt thou ever be, and he shall bear dominion over thee." And so Saint Chrysostom, he is another good man. Woman, he says, was put under the power of man, and man was pronounced Lord over her, that she should obey man, that the head should not follow the feet. False priests do commonly deceive women, because they are easily persuaded to any opinion, especially if it be again given, and because they lack prudence and right reason to judge the things that be spoken, which should not be the nature of those that are appointed to govern others, for they should be constant, stable, prudent, and doing everything with discretion and reason, which virtues woman cannot have in equality with man. I tell you, women are more prudent than men. I tell you, as a rule, women are more truthful than men. I tell you that women are more faithful than men, 10 times as faithful as man. I never saw a man pursue his wife into the very ditch and dust of degradation and take